Hello, everybody. Tom Crichton here with Help Get Sponsors. Appreciate everybody's attendance today. And I do apologize for the last minute switch from our Facebook Live over to GoToWebinar, just having a few technical issues with that. I do want to thank real quick everybody at RDHQ and Panos in particular, who's been very helpful in getting this off the ground, really looking for ways for all of us to be able to learn and take advantage of this time while we're kind of stuck inside, looking for ways to not just expand and grow through virtual events, but in my opinion, this is a really wonderful time to really prepare for when the live in-person event season is back underway. If you've been following the news, which all of us have been, looks like we're going to be probably the last phase, and that makes a lot of sense. So again, we do have some time over the next days, weeks, months to really better prepare and fortify our businesses. And so I'm really excited to be able to participate today and help out with our sponsorship best practices for the members of RDHQ. Many of you have saw the news that we switched over to GoToWebinar. I see everybody logging in, so that's great. Again, this is Tom Crichton with Help Get Sponsors, and we'll just get started here in just a second. Also wanted to mention that we will be providing a link to this, so you can follow up and watch this in its entirety. And if you have to jump, you can always come back and review whatever portions that you have missed. So we're here today to talk about methods to help events maximize your sponsorship program during this very interesting time. I do, before I jump deep into this, want to ask a quick question to anybody watching. We've got 14, 15 people already signed in. Just let me know that you can hear me and see me. Everything looks like it's broadcasting great out of GoToWebinar, but of course, want to make sure that is the case. Awesome. There's Chris McDonald, one of our good buddies from our years past with setup events. Thanks, guys. So we're going to continue. All right. So first off, you guys can probably all kind of feel this pain right here. The reason that sponsorship always gets a lot of attention with events and event organizers is we tend to struggle with it. We do a great job of promoting our race registrations, ordering porta potties, getting permits, t-shirts, all that great stuff, but sponsorship always tends to be one of those pains in the marketplace. And Running USA did the survey. They do it every year. Typically, sponsorship's the #1 challenge. Eventbrite, over 1,000 responses to a survey, 87% of those, 870, said they'd struggle with sponsorship. So I like to lead off with that as we kind of walk through today's program. We're going to do a little bit more of an intro and background on my company, Help Get Sponsors, and my history in the space. Define success and sponsorship. So I'd like to kick that off and really kind of show you where our beliefs lay when it comes to how you define a successful sponsorship. It's not about every dollar you can squeeze from a sponsor, and certainly it's not about the sponsor squeezing every bit of value they can out of you. It's building a true partnership. I think one of the biggest questions, so we'll kind of get this taken care of towards the beginning of the program, is what should we be doing now? What can we be doing now to set ourselves up for success in the future? So we're going to talk about taking stock, finding new partners, building bridges to those partnerships now. We're also going to discuss some virtual event sponsorship ideas, and I'd also love to get your ideas because this is really new to market for all of us. We've seen some great ideas that we're going to share with you. We'd love to hear what you guys are doing too out there to tap into not just selling virtual sponsorships or virtual registrations, I should say, but actually getting sponsors involved as well. We also want to briefly dive into technology because this is a really good time for you guys to do a technology audit and figure out what technologies you should be using, and the ones that you are using, are you getting the most out of them? And then we're going to talk about some continued education and some pivots we're making as a company moving forward as we want to continue to take advantage of this downtime. Not really downtime because we're all working really hard, but I think we all have a little bit more focus inside our homes right now. and it's a really good time to continue that education. So a little bit more about ourselves. We've always worked on the property or the event side. So in other words, we've always represented events like yourself. Our company was founded over 20 years ago. I'm getting pretty old, Chris. And we were a full service sponsorship marketing agency working in NASCAR. We pivoted and got into the endurance space. Quite honestly, in 2006, I don't know that I really knew what a triathlon was. By 2010, I had done my first of 3 Ironman events. We also started our own running event in Birmingham, Alabama called the Magic City Half Marathon. Back then it was the Reuben Studdard Half Marathon. And after several years of running and growing that with our partner Setup Events and Jeremy Davis, we ended up selling that event to help create and to help fund, help get sponsors, the software version of our company, allowing events like yourself to be able to sell and manage sponsorships more efficiently through technology. So again, let's define success in the sponsorship space. Number one, as a company, we feel it's equal and fair between the sponsor and the event. I've been in this industry a long time, and as I kind of hinted off the top of this, there is a lot of adversarial relationships for some reason between sponsors and events. I think sponsors are trying to get the most out of their events by putting the least in it at times. Not all sponsors are that way. And events sometimes are overselling their events. So how do we get to an equal and fair sponsorship and partnership? We really want to talk about industry standardized pricing and putting proper evaluations on what you're selling. So that's a whole nother piece of education. We do offer like entire hours and sessions on pricing alone, but we can basically walk you through that today a little bit and talk about why it's so important, as well as understanding the goals of each other. So when you're working in sponsorships and with sponsoring companies, it's not just about landing that sponsor to be a part of your event. It's about understanding what that sponsor is trying to accomplish at the event and working with that sponsor hand in hand to help them accomplish that goal. However, it is not one-sided. You see the term MROI on the side there. That's mutual return on investment. We're very, very strong believers in this. Events have so much to offer to sponsors. Everybody thinks of it as, oh, a sponsor has cash, we do whatever the sponsor wants. And really at the core of your event are your attendees and their experience. So it's important for your sponsors to understand your goals. So I like to kick that off here in the beginning, because when we get deeper into this discussion today, really looking for ways for your sponsors to help you as an organization. And I'll bet right now there's never been a time in your lives as event directors that you've been looking for more help, looking for education, looking for financing, looking for ways to mitigate the damages that we're all facing due to COVID-19. So really not being afraid either in today's crazy environment, or if we took a step back 6 months ago, ask for help, ask for your sponsors to be an active participant in your event by enhancing the event. Really understand the goals of each other. So yeah, understand what they're trying to accomplish, but don't hesitate to tell your sponsors what you're trying to accomplish. We're trying to bring in more minority attendees. We're trying to grow our event 20% exponentially. When you share these goals with your sponsors, they become more involved with your event, and they may find creative ways outside of cash to help you achieve your goals. And then, of course, always stay within the bounds of the agreement. We don't want sponsors to creep outside of what they are requesting, and that you tend to see them do that quite a bit. And at the same time, you don't want to keep going back to sponsors asking for more and more and more. So basically, over the years and years of doing sponsorship sales, we've really drilled down. The definition of a successful sponsorship is formed around these 3 key covenants, and that is an equal and fair partnership between a sponsor and property where each party understands the goals of the other, and both are working to achieve those goals within the bounds of the agreement. And if you think about it, and you strike, and you probably have in your experience had a very successful sponsorship experience with a particular company or organization, I guarantee you all 3 of these were met. That there was a fair partnership. You weren't overselling the deal. You were providing them the value for what they were paying for. That you took the time and got to know your sponsor and what their challenges and goals were, and they took the time and learned quite a bit about your event and looked for ways to enhance or increase your event success. And you both stayed within those bounds of agreement working together, and it was a happy ending when it came to event day, race day, etc. And most likely you were able to grow and renew that sponsorship a little bit easier than a brand new sponsor, of course. Always easier to renew than to start fresh with a new sponsor. So what can we do now? I talked about taking stock in the intro. We really want to begin to think about preparing your events for when we're back open for business. I'm sure everybody can feel it right now. We're all experiencing cabin fever. We're all looking to get back out there. I do think when people are more comfortable, events will be the place, of course, where they will reconnect. And so we will talk about virtual events, but I really want to take some time, since you're in a really different period of your career and your event history, to start preparing for when we're back open for business. So let's take sponsorship inventory. Have you, as events, individually, you have to ask yourself, what are we selling? What have we been selling? What can we sell in the future? Are we really sitting down and thinking about all of the value that we have to sell into a sponsorship deal? Are you just doing gold, silver, bronze packages with the basics, or are you really drilling down and looking for ways for events to participate more, sponsors to participate more with your events? So when you're doing inventory, I want you to take the time to list out all of the sponsorships assets that you offer. Think about these in categories too. So categories such as at-event assets, your digital marketing assets, hospitality, pre-event, webinar type opportunities, or messaging through e-blasting. Post-event, can you do a post-event sponsor social? Are you bringing sponsorships together after the fact? Really, what are you doing? And I think what will happen is you'll start to uncover value that you haven't been packaging or putting together when you're building and selling sponsorships to particular events, with particular events. Another great way to do a sponsorship asset or inventory analysis is to pull your budget and look at every single line item budget and consider companies that could provide those line items for in-kind sponsorships. It sounds pretty simple, but when I talk to events, I don't see them doing that. So you guys are all spreadsheet wizards. You have to be in this industry, or you have somebody on your team that is. Simply add another column next to every single expenditure that you have, and list out potential companies that can offset those cost items in your budget. And now you've got a short list of some low-hanging fruit companies you've worked with in the past, or companies that maybe want to work with your event organization, and then begin to tailor some sponsorship packages around these budget line items. Again, it seems super simple, but I see most events just simply doing the basics of, hey, let's reach out to our standard endemic type sponsors related to our type of event, and then let's reach out to the biggest company or companies in our area. You should be doing that, absolutely, but I think you can find a lot of really wonderful nuggets in your budget that you're able to eliminate, and ultimately your bottom line looks much better, and sponsors are more likely to participate when they are providing some product in addition to cash, or if it's an in-kind deal. Totally. So sponsorship asset pricing. So we talked about that in that initial definition of a sponsorship success story. Have you taken the time to conduct a price valuation on your assets? Most organizations have not. Yes, we are helpgetsponsors.com. We do have a sponsorship software product. We want you to participate, of course, during this period, this very odd period we're all facing. We've decided to make our main product free. So for the foreseeable future, we have no expiration date. We're probably going to keep the free product in place for good. I bring that up because you can easily sign up for an account today for free, You will not be billed. You will not be billed in the future. Anytime if we decide to stop providing the free product, you would then be welcome to either stay or discontinue. There will be no automatic renewals. This is 100% free. We're doing this to help the industry. And within our software is a pricing tool where you can pick all of the assets that you're currently selling. You may find a bunch of assets on our lists that also provide ideas of items you may not have sold or put into sponsorship packages in the past. You simply save that list with the numbers related to your sponsorship, your event size, and our software provides you industry valuated sponsorship prices for each one of your assets. So what is a banner worth at your event? What is a PA announcement worth at your event, et cetera, et cetera. And so when you get that industry standard pricing and you build a sponsorship package, you're much more comfortable and you're much more, you can defend the price tag that you're pitching to the sponsor. Hey, we're selling this for $3,000 because it includes these 6 assets, and these assets at an event that has 4,000 runners like my event are worth X. And that's how we came to this price. Sponsor wants to beat you down on the price. Sponsor wants to undercut you. It's really easy for you to shake their hand, say thank you very much, but we're going to kind of move along. Sponsorship or the sponsoring company, sees your valuation as something you've done that is standardized in the industry. It's a price that's fair for what you're selling. They're much more likely to not negotiate on the total price of the package. And they're also going to make a decision much quicker, because you're not just throwing a ballpark number, hey, we're asking for 10 grand because we need it. You're actually coming to them with a number based on the value they'll be receiving as a sponsor. So again, what can you do now? You can take stock with your sponsorship inventory. You can find new inventory that you're not currently selling. And you can also price that inventory so you can truly understand what the value is of your sponsorships at your events, whether it's a package of assets or a single asset, and you can better market. You'll feel better about taking those sponsorships to market, and you'll have a better stance to be able to defend your pricing on those as well. So again, you've got a lot of time at your desk these days. We've got a free software where you can do this very quickly. So we highly encourage you to visit the website and just sign up. Again, there'll be no charge in the future until the event industry is back on its feet, which is probably not going to be fully until sometime in 2021. So you've got a lot of time to practice and play and really get some sponsorship value here. So sponsorship enhancements. I want everyone to take some time and dreamline some new event activations to improve the participant experience at your event. What's your vision of your event? What would you like to see? Like, is it more bouncy houses at the finish line? Is it a better band stage? Is it more interactive live timing and scoring with digital screens? Take some time and build your dream finish line, build your dream course, and start to look to see if there are sponsors or companies that can buy into your vision. And when the event industry is back on its feet, they'll be poised to participate with you because they see you as more than just a running race. They see you as an event visionary that's trying to build something really special for the day that we're green lighted to start putting on events again. So sponsor enhancements it's a two-way street. A lot of times you'll discount the pricing on those sponsorships when you match these with businesses that could provide activations. But at the same time, those activations are going to make your event more enjoyable. They're going to make your event more marketable. You're going to be able to sell more registrations into your event. So really, this is a great time to start to take some time and dream a little bit, and then take those dreams and bring them to reality, and bring them to reality through partnerships and sponsorships with events who share your vision. Just a really quick anecdotal story. Went to a music festival in New York City about a year and a half ago, and American Express was there. And again, I understand we're talking about local running events. Trust me, I participated in them as an owner and working with many local triathlons and running events. But smaller businesses can enhance your events the way American Express did at this particular Music Fest. Long story short is the Music Fest continually dealt with rain because it took place in New York City in August. And American Express came in with bamboo rolled up mats, very similar to yoga mat, but it was sort of a plastic bamboo feel. And you would roll them up, and they were blue and white, and they had American Express's logo on them. Well, if you went to the American Express tent, had a card already, you were an American Express member, you received that roll up for free. If you signed up for a card or just gave them their information, I think if you didn't have a card, you also received one. Well, by the end of that weekend, the entire field was covered with these plastic mats that promoted American Express, but also kept the Music Fest goer a little bit drier and a little less muddy. So again, they took the time to understand what the problem was, the challenge that this particular Music Fest faced, and they addressed it through their sponsorship. Instead of just showing up with some free stress balls to give away or some other swag that pretty much ends up in the trash can, they actually did something to make the event better. So now is a really wonderful time for you to dreamline some enhancements and start to think about local and regional businesses that could help bring those dreams to reality. And then offer these, we're going to call them event enhancement sponsorship packages, as just that. Come up with the enhancement that you want to see, create a sponsorship package around it that includes what the company needs to provide you to enhance this particular area of your future event, and discount that sponsorship, or even do it as an in-kind relationship for free, because again, they're making your event better, and they're helping you market your event by giving you something new and exciting, and ultimately they're helping you grow your event attendance, or maybe reaching some of those other goals that you are hopeful for. All right, I also want you to take the time to review and improve your current sponsorship sales materials. And that would include all of your digital assets, so that's PDFs that you might be emailing out, your eBlast templates, your virtual event bags, for example, all of those things that typically you use to sell sponsorships. And I want to say something about selling sponsorships, because event directors are really fantastic at selling your registrations. And you're not following the same practices that you follow when you are selling registrations. So in other words, if you're trying to get people to register for your run race, you probably have a pretty regular cadence when it comes to your social marketing, when it comes to your digital marketing, your email marketing, and even when it comes to the design of your website and the design of your marketing materials in and around your run registrations. Have you taken the time to develop the exact same methodology and cadences regarding your sponsorships? So do you have some specific eBlast templates that are encouraging your runners to look within their organizations that employ them, and they're willing to take your sponsorship opportunities to their marketing departments? There's nothing wrong with using your audience to promote the fact that you have corporate sponsorship opportunities. Are you developing the materials that are designed to easily explain who you are, what you offer, and why they should participate? It's really all a sponsorship deck. The very first conversation piece you put into the marketplace should be, who are you as an organization? Maybe it's all of your events annually and a brief explanation, your total reach, and what kind of sponsorships you have to offer. So what are you capable of doing? Can you do hospitality? Can you do pre-event marketing and messaging? Can you do at event sampling? Can you show some of your Dreamline sponsor enhancement event packages? That's simply one page. It's some basic, it's not listing all your assets. It's saying that we are a capable company that can provide you sponsorship opportunities under these categories, under these types of marketing initiatives, and then why they should participate. So maybe it's a couple testimonials from people who are really happy sponsors that have participated in the past. Maybe it's a case study about some success you've had or your growth over the years. So again, who we are, what we offer, and why you should consider working with us. So we spent a year with Rock and Roll Marathons working with their sponsorship sales staff, and we drilled down what they had at one point, 25 to 30 pages of sponsorship proposal decks, etc., into a 3-page overview. And it really focused on those 3 subjects. Who are we? So that's size, audience, how long your organization's been around, your typical demographics, what we can offer you, and why you should consider participating. So again, we'll kind of provide all of this in some follow-up documentations. We're recording this entire webinar as well. But I want you to take some time. This is a great time to review and improve your current sponsorship sales materials, including your digital assets. All right, this is the one very bottom bullet there. We got a lot of bullets up here. Really important here, because there's I would like to duplicate myself about 2,000 times over because there are so many events out there that are looking for sponsorship sellers. And now is a really wonderful time to find those people inside of your organization or inside your community, really, not just your organization. It's really sad that so many people have lost jobs. So there are people out there who have selling skills. There are people out there who are runners in your community who are looking for opportunities to, maybe get some free swag, some free races in the future, just to, hook their wagon to you guys. So I think now is a really good time to find some of those people out there who might be willing to be sponsorship sellers on your team. It could be even just an initial start as a committee member who's going to help you with your sales for a commission. I think also, when it comes to training, again, the fact that our software is free now is a great opportunity to use it as a training guide. So we do help with training and onboarding any one of our users, including our free users, people coming on right now who are signing up for the free software. We hold training seminars. And what happens is that software is designed around sponsorship sales best practices. So if you find 2 or 3 people within your community, we train them inside the software. Whether you keep and use the software or not, they will then realize and understand the best practices in sponsorship sales and what they need to do to be successful. So again, this is all about what you should be doing now. This is a great time to start to identify some people that might want to join your team and roll up their sleeves and start to not sell, because your events are primarily virtual right now, but get ready to sell, train them, have them understand the materials, improve the materials, of course, find new sponsorship opportunities so that when events begin to come online, they'll be ready to sell and market your sponsorships. And there are a lot of sales techniques that we can be doing today, and we're going to be talking about that in just a minute. So this new, yourself or people on your team, you should be looking for new partners right now. So again, what can we be doing right now? Now's a great time to take some time and identify media partners inside of your locale, your region, your state. And here's why. Media partners own and operate live and in-person events themselves. So they are on the sidelines too. They are looking for organizations and opportunities that they can align with. So if you've got a great virtual event program going now, a media partner is going to be really interested about participating with you, because they're trying to find ways to stay relevant and connected to the communities where they broadcast. And so I'm seeing now more than ever media companies looking to partner with events and event series and organizers. Now, I'll preface that they don't have cash. Their advertisers are beginning to go down a little bit as well, but they have reach. They have the ability to get your voice out there when it comes to virtual events. So I would be seeking media partners now to help you promote your events. I would not expect cash, but if they're bringing new participants into your virtual events and introducing new attendees, registrants, runners, participants to your organization, that's money now and money in the future that is not a direct sponsorship check, but it's actually being created by one of your sponsor or media partners. So now's the time to really start to identify those media partners and start to do some outreach and introductions and seeing if they want to learn more about how you're currently handling the situation and what your vision is moving forward. And that's another reason, when we go back to the last slide, why it's important to really think about what you want your events to be in the future. It's a great conversation to have. It's very positive, by the way. So let's talk about prospecting other categories and businesses. Obviously you look for the top industries in your area. That's a no-brainer. We had talked about that before. Also look for your top employers, in particular healthcare and insurance companies right now. They're very, very busy, but at the same time, they have health and wellness initiatives within their hospitals and within even the smaller medical centers and privately owned emergent care type businesses. They need to keep their employees healthy and sound of mind, and encouraging them to do your virtual runs and participate as a virtual sponsor. It's a great industry to be considering participating right now. We talked about streamlining those event enhancement sponsorships with these particular companies in categories that make the most sense. So if you're looking to have a craft coffee start line and a craft beer finish line, start to dreamline those and start to really build that out visually if you can, and then reach out to the very specific companies who can help make that come true. Those would be much smaller, much more localized businesses, but at the same time it can truly enhance and improve what you're going to be offering when we're back online. So how about doing some research right now? That sounds really fun, right? So there are some really nice tools out there to be able to research business contacts. The first, that if you haven't done this in the past, please do so. Your local business journal. So these would be like we're very familiar with the North Carolina space, the Triangle Business Journal or the Wilmington Business Journal. They offer what they call the Book of Business, or the BOB, and that's an Excel spreadsheet list of every business in town that is a part of their publication, or that they reach out to within their publication. So business research doesn't have to be sitting at your computer like I did in 2005, looking for business and contacts one by one by one by one. You can spend $300 and probably have 400 or 500 business contacts within your region and your area, just by finding your local business journal and buying that book of list. Of course, you can do the research the old-fashioned way too, and you should when it's appropriate. So if you see an advertiser doing quite a bit more advertising today than they used to because of today's new world, find out who that is, who the contact is, and do the research the old-fashioned way, and connect with that company. So again, keep an eye on what businesses are advertising now versus who was advertising in the past. We're going to see that change in the coming weeks and months, and those people that are advertising are those that are doing well and may have more interest, or will have more interest, in doing a virtual sponsorship with you now and a long-term sponsorship with your organization in the future. So this all goes back to list development, and just a quick note on list development. There are some technologies out there, and we'll talk about one of them when we get a little bit further along. But really, you need to have a place where you're saving and storing all of your sponsor contacts, and being able to easily connect with them and send them information. We provide that CRM space inside our software, but of course, you have features like in your Google Drive, being able to have a shared doc there as well. Really take this time to organize yourself with your sponsor contacts. Get all your sponsor contacts in one place. It's one of the things we loved and built into our software, because it keeps it in one place. If someone leaves your team, joins your team, it's easy for them to find contacts they should be reaching out to. But no matter where it is, I talk to so many different events, and they have 5 or 6 or 10 different spreadsheets amongst a team of people, and they're not all kept in one place. So do that list development and list organization as well. So with finding new partners, you have an opportunity to do audience growth, and I think we touched on this in the previous slide, so I won't go too much into this. But with virtual events, do not be afraid to provide free sponsorships. I know that's really scary. You can actually couple the sponsorship with a letter of intention to do a traditional ad-event sponsorship with a price tag when your events come back online. But right now, in my opinion, it's all about audience growth. And so we really have to rethink the way that we are marketing and providing sponsorships through how do we grow our events and our audience and our outreach. And so what I mean by that is related to new sponsors is, can a sponsor grow your audience um, without charging them? So can a large employer get more people following your Facebook page or your Instagram, joining your e-blast lists? This is a really, really good time to focus on audience growth. And the reason it's so important is that the value of those sponsorships that you're offering is based on your audience size. So right now is a really wonderful time to think through ways to grow your audience, and sponsors can help you do that. So it's so valuable if you can, double the size of your event. Wow, that's doubling the size of the value of your sponsorships, or even doubling the size of or exponentially increasing the size of your social media or your email database. So all of these things are value to you. It may not show up on your budget and your bottom line today, but if you can take the time now to be growing your audience, through your own marketing, but also through joint marketing with virtual sponsors, that is going to pay off in the future. So that audience growth bullet, it's a really important one because your audience is where your value is with your sponsors. So take the time to look for ways to grow it today. So building bridges, don't be afraid to ask for help right now. This is a little bit more, a personal philosophy. I'm terrible at asking for people for help. I think most of us probably are, because event directors tend to be, very, you're very you're very skilled at many different services and characteristics. So it's hard to say, hey, can you just help us? And again, we're talking specifically about sponsors. We're not talking about other options with your events right now and other needs that you have. But when it comes to sponsors, I think now is a really wonderful time to start to build a bridge through assistance and help. And so what does that mean? It's marketing your virtual events, as we just talked about on the last slide. It's helping you grow your audience for one single event, but also for your entire organization. So it's asking these sponsors to assist you because, this is a time where you're in need. Honestly, we're not going to BS anybody and say that, we're as strong as we were before. Our virtual events are incredibly successful. We're launching a new TV series. We're doing this, and this. I mean, yeah, maybe, that's on its way, but at this point in time, we're all reformatting our businesses, and we're all trying to do new things to stay relevant and connect with our audience. So don't be afraid to ask sponsors for help in marketing your current virtual events, and then also, co-producing some virtual events as well. So maybe the sponsor has some need for, as I said before, health and wellness initiatives, and you can spin up a really quick virtual event that particular hospital or healthcare system or large employer or pharmaceutical in your area or a large technology company has no skills at doing. So reaching out to build a bridge with a corporation, a large employer or large employers. Maybe you take your top 10 corporations and offer a brand new health and wellness virtual run, because you know how to do it. You've done 3 of them now and you're super successful with them, and you feel very skilled at putting on a virtual event. Well, there's your title sponsor for a brand new virtual event. So you could co-produce these virtual events as a health and wellness opportunity for large employers, or by taking 10, 12, 15 of the largest employers and combining them together. So again, building bridges right now, meaning you're not selling, cash-bearing sponsorships. You're actually reaching into the community and saying, hey, we need some help, but we're also here to help you. That's how, in my opinion, being vulnerable and honest is building bridges for the future. Again, growing your audience, that bullet will pop up many times. It's just, building these bridges and growing these relationships leads to growth for your audience. If you are successful at launching a large corporate health and wellness event, including multiple companies in your area or your region that employ a lot of people, your audience is growing right there. You've got that legitimacy, you've got that relationship. Those employees are now doing something they've never done before. And as many of you have seen that have been putting on events, I've seen it in my neighborhood every day. I've never seen so many people running. And that should be something you talk about, because every single sponsor or company you're talking to, they're seeing it too. So how do you as an organizer bring those people together? Obviously a virtual event, but how do you do it with a sponsor? So we're highly recommending right now to look for ways to co-produce these virtual events. Expanding your offering. So we're going to get to that in just a second. Some of the new ideas and opportunities that we're seeing out there in the event space when it comes to virtual sponsorships. How are you expanding your offering right now? Are you saying we want to be an organizational partner? We want to seek a year-round partnership instead of a singular event sponsor. This is the #1 way to expand your offering. Most of you have multiple events, and they all fall under one organization. And so this is a great way to work at a larger scale with a sponsor rather than a bunch of individual event sponsors. So I would always lead, when you're showing a company who you are, what you offer, and why they should participate, I would always lead with your organization, not a singular event. Even if one event is 80% of your company, it's better, it's more valuable, and it's easier to manage if you have a year-round organizational sponsor rather than a singular event sponsor. So expand your offering if you haven't done this before by growing or creating an organizational partnership. We can certainly help you do that. So, this is something interesting we've seen with a few different companies and event, organizers we've talked to. They're looking at some short-term finance from sponsors, and this is not alone. When we say short-term finance, obviously, we're all starting to feel, if not already, overwhelmed by that cash crunch. And so offering up a lot of sponsorship options with today's virtual events, but getting them to commit to the full sponsorship in the future and getting a small down payment on that future sponsorship. So again, it's asking for help, it's explaining your situation, saying we can provide, what we want to do is, partner with you on this $20,000 sponsorship. We know that you're worried that our event's not going to take place in 2021 because who knows what's going to happen. We're very confident it's going to happen. If, with 25% down, we can give you all of this virtual event sponsorship between now and whenever we run our first event with no financial commitment until we actually launch that first event. So again, it's having some creative conversations with sponsors, explaining to them the situation you're in, how you can benefit them with the tools and assets and virtual events that you currently have, but don't just sell that. Sell the bigger vision, their partnership in the future. Talk about what makes your organization special, the amount of people you touch every year, the amount of charities you touch, and in this, this really crazy environment, you are not going to let this organization go under because it's too important to this community. So we need your help. So what we're looking at is a package that includes 2021 ad-event sponsorship rights with a bunch of virtual rights in 2020. We're going to bust our backsides to do above and beyond in the virtual events, but we need a little bit of a commitment now. And so again, looking at explaining to them you can't do everything for free, but in the future when these come online, we'll roll right into this larger sponsorship package. So again, it's just looking for creative ways to build these bridges and sharing and not being afraid to share with companies in your market what you're struggling with and what you're facing these days. More registrations, plus more donations, that's all about expanding that audience. So you may feel like you're giving away a lot right now. I'm not saying do it, without any cash on the table, especially if you're cash strapped and you need it. Share that with your sponsors. Sponsors want to be a part of your organization. They want to help you stay healthy and grow. But 2 ways they can do that is helping obviously grow your registrations. And those registrations in many, many cases equal donations, because most of your events do have a charitable component where your registrants are raising money or they're making donations or they're adding onto their registration fee. So again, what can we do now? We put down build bridges, and we kind of wanted to walk through some things we're seeing in the virtual event space, but also don't be so short-sighted to only think about today's events. So here's some virtual event sponsorship ideas that we've been talking about with other events and seeing in the industry. The mentality is rethink your offer. So, it's really hard to recreate the wheel, but at this point, we're going to have to. And we talked about some of that on the last slide. Offering as much as you can this year in a virtual capacity. And when I say virtual, it's not just your virtual events, it's your digital marketing, the things you can do, to help get their message out to your community and help grow your community through their messaging. So you got to really rethink your offer. When we talk to sponsors today, the events and organizations they're most listening to are those that are being honest and earnest. So those that are really sharing with the situation that they're in, who they are, why it's important that your organization does not go away in the midst of this global pandemic, and to be earnest about what you're offering. You can deliver above and beyond. You're creative, you're hardworking, you've got all of these digital assets that the sponsor can tap into. You've also got a vision for the future. Honestly, we don't have it right now. We want to work with you to get there when events come back online, but we're being honest with you about our situation, and we're being earnest with you about what we can do to help you. Going way back to the first slide about defining the sponsorship, learn what their challenges are totally changed now too. So, challenges they were looking at 4 months ago are in the trash can, and they're looking at totally different challenges as a business. So they're most likely cash strapped as well. How can you help them with their current challenges? Maybe you can be that advertising outlet for now that they can't afford anymore with TV, radio, digital ads, etc. So, when I say honest and earnest, yes, that's about you, but also pull that out of your sponsor as well. Find out what they are challenged with and look for ways that you can help them. So, we all need cash, but, the conversations that are going to be taken are those that are saying we have sponsorship opportunities with our digital assets and virtual events, and we're willing to discuss trading those for additional marketing and promotions. Again, expanded audience means more value in your future sponsorships, but it also means more registrations today. So, if you are cash strapped, obviously, and you're looking for sponsors to help you keep some people on staff or to launch a new event, look for those opportunities for them to make an investment in your company. Putting some short-term cash down to reserve a sponsorship in the future. Paying you to produce a virtual event for them because they quite honestly would love to put virtual events on, and most of them don't know how to do it. So taking your company and adjusting it, being able to provide marketing and promotions and getting marketing and promotions in return without cash, and again, looking for creative ways to get that cash. So we just kind of touched on that with the digital marketing assets that you have to offer right now, and obviously those are your primary value right now in sponsorships that you're offering. So some creative ideas. Now's a great time to build new digital assets. So, everything that you can throw at a sponsor, branding and links and messaging on all your digital assets, but what are those? Not just your followers, but I mean, do you have, a weekly virtual run that, is growing, but it's not, it's a free run. It's just getting audience because you're getting people off the couch to go for a run. Is that audience growing? Is that something you should be doing right now to build more followers, but to be able to offer more to a sponsor? So, it's really the time to find ways to grow and build your followers and people who you're engaging with on a daily and weekly basis. So yes, everyone's trying to launch virtual events to make up for some revenue, but have you thought about launching some virtual events that are free simply to grow your audience and to have a better conversation with sponsors, right? Virtual Expo. So we actually built this before Virtual Event Bag and before event bags back in the day. We did it with a simple e-blast. I mean, we literally built an e-blast that looked like a virtual event expo. It just included offers that our runners and triathletes would be interested in from our sponsors. So right now, there are better technologies out there. I mentioned 2 of them. And you can build, virtual event bags, but you can easily change those to virtual expos. So why not do a quarterly expo and look for your endemic and non-endemic sponsors who want to participate and deliver something of value into the inboxes of all of your participants. So yes, you're putting on virtual runs, and some of them are bigger and some of them are smaller, but you're an organization. Why doesn't your organization create a virtual expo and include all of those sponsors from your virtual events, your past in-person events and live events, and your future in-person and live events? So, again, it's really easy to default to a virtual run, but I'm not sure how many people have been launching virtual expos to support your sponsors and to draw your audiences into that. And make it limited, make it for a day or two before your virtual run takes place, and shut it down. I mean, have really valuable sponsor offers inside that virtual expo, have videos from running coaches, have free training plans, whatever it may be. Have free massages for when the day that massages are allowed to take place again from, your local massage companies, assuming that they're still, around, or just give them yourself, Chris, whatever you got to do. But a virtual event expo is kind of a fun way to generate some more revenue, or at least a larger audience, and tie it to your overall virtual events that you're doing right now. Also, another idea that I'm seeing used quite a bit are guest speakers and motivational videos. So these can be sponsored. So maybe you've got connections to some people that have a pretty big voice, and you want them to do a Facebook Live because they can figure out the technology, unlike me. Or you have a motivational video from runners who are participating. These are great opportunities to promote and stoke. Don't push them out right away, and look for sponsors who want to support that. So maybe it's a local sponsor or business that is paying to underwrite one of your virtual, a guest speaker who's going to talk about what runners should be doing right now, like a well-known runner or triathlete or endurance athlete. Maybe it's your team doing different motivational videos throughout the course of the weeks and months, to keep people engaged and excited and to create new content to build your audience. So we're seeing, obviously the onset of Zoom and the video capabilities of all of these companies have improved in a major way. So if there are people in your community who you can tap into, who are willing to do an interview with you as a race director, who are willing to cut a promotional video or a marketing video. These are great ways to connect and keep connected with your audience so you don't lose them for when the events and the event industry comes back. So then also future live in-person sponsor agreements with the virtual assets now. We talked a little bit about that before, but the concept there again is to bring back your in-person sponsorship agreements and opportunities. I know you guys have already planned out your events for Q4 and next year under the positive and future thinking. We're not going to be standing back on our heels wondering whether or not we're going to be open or not. You're assuming that you're going to be open. So you've got to sell those registrations and you've got to sell those sponsorship agreements as well. But in the meantime, include as many virtual assets for now, and mitigate their risk as much as possible. So there's got to be clauses, or at least agreements, as simple as they may be, to say, if this event doesn't take place, you're no responsibility to continue with the sponsorship. You've got to give them a reason to sign and join as a sponsor, but it's got to be very safe for them, because today's environment is we were all rocked. We all nobody was expecting this, and including businesses. And so now they're much more careful, and they're going to be much more slow to sign in-person event sponsorships. So start thinking about ways you can mitigate that risk, and a simple way is just to put a clause in your agreements that simply states something to the effect of you're under no responsibility for the sponsorship if the event doesn't take place. So again, it's just looking for some creative ideas. And with that, I'm gonna open up the question box and see if anybody has some ideas that they're out there doing or they've seen that they like in the virtual event space. You can just simply add it in the question box. Let's see. I know that Chris says they're live timing a virtual run tomorrow as a proof concept. And Chris, if you're still on there, yeah, definitely share the link and we'll push that out. Loved what you did with the timing finish line in front of your house and doing a virtual run in your neighborhood. That was super cool. I was a little worried about any kind of liability for you, but that's what us business folk do. But that was very, very cool. So yeah, please share the link as you can, and we will share the recording. That's in the question box as well. So if anyone else has other ideas, be sure to share them here, share them in the community. I don't know, I think everybody's probably seen on RDHQ the video of how lonely a race director is. That was really well produced. That goes back to what I was talking about, creating motivational videos or content-driven videos. I guarantee you that race event production company has grown their audience because that video is being shared and people are now following them or joining them or signing up for their newsletters and their emails, etc. So there are ways to grow your audience, and I think if there's one major, there's a lot that we covered today, and we've got a little bit more. But if the biggest overarching piece that I believe that we've been talking about is growing your audience. Now's a really good time to get organized, to improve your materials and grow your audience. Hey, one other creative idea that we have seen and that we actually brought to a sponsor, to an event, is sampling by mail. So you should not handle or pick up the expense of sending out samples by mail. However, you have a large list of participants from the past. You don't necessarily have all of your mailing addresses. If you did, I still wouldn't use this right off the bat. If you have sponsors in your area that are trying to get product in people's hands, it's one of the biggest values of events in the past, right? You're there, you get to try the new flavor of, a beverage, a non-alcoholic beverage. You get to sample a new craft beer. You get to try a new, rolling product designed to help, get rid of your cramps in your leg muscles and such. Those are gone right now. So, what we're recommending is to, when you're talking to sponsors, ask them if they have samples that they will be interested in mailing out to your runners, but make it an opt-in opportunity for your runners. So if you do have a sponsor says, that's great, we'll handle the shipping and logistics. We just need a mailing list of runners who are interested. And you can send out an email with a simple, Google form to allow runners to sign up to get that free sample product. And see, now you're connecting your runners and your sponsors in a really safe way by allowing them to sample by mail. So I just wanted to make sure that you guys had that's one that just started the last 2 weeks with one of our events that we're working with. So let's talk about technology real quick, and then we'll wrap things up because I know we're pushing on the hour. Registering ticketing, I don't want to touch this in too much detail because it's such a hot button topic, but now is a great time to book some time with your account rep. They're continuing to improve all of our registration features. So it's a good time to take some time to learn the tools that could better automate your process when it comes to ticketing. I know many registration companies have built-in marketing now. They have built-in tools for you to send out coupons and track and et cetera. The data is getting really good. So if you haven't spent much time with your registration and ticketing company in a while, hey, now is a great time to book a time with your rep and get a refresher in that technology. You may find some things that you've never used in the past that are really, really valuable today. And so, I know everybody uses a different technology, so take some time and learn what those technologies are doing. Also wanted to share with you a group that we learned about this past year. We have no relationship with storyblaster.com. We just love what they're doing. So this is a technology company that is automating the process of marketing different fundraising campaigns, and now they've actually taken that and they've branched into events, so to help you market your events better. Long story short, again, I don't sell for them, I just know their product now. You can load up your event marketing messages into Story Blaster, and they help you, the technology helps you build messaging around how far out you are from your event, you know, whether it's a virtual event or event in person. And then it also has ways to market your fundraising if that's part of your event for charities. And so the reason why it's valuable is it's automated, number one, and number two, it helps alter your message based around the most viable and the content that's best received at a certain time, a date and time, as you lead up to your race or your run. So in the beginning, it's more about education of your event, getting people to know about it, that it's out there. Then it's about pushing the registrations, and the content is more driven towards creating that real excitement around buying a registration. And then it automatically changes into, you know, like the feeling of I better register now, or it's going to get more expensive, or it's going to sell out, whatever it may be. But it just helps you be able to load this up in the very beginning and then just set it and forget it. And then your automated marketing is taking place, helping you sell registrations. And then it also has built-in ways to buy additional exposure through Facebook and other social media. So you can actually, you know, put budget into it if you want, and it actually purchases the additional exposure through those content. So, you know, long and the short is, again, we don't have a relationship. We're not making any money from telling you about this, but these are examples that we want you to know about of event technologies that can help you into the future. Winmo is another one. So again, you're going to get a recording of this, and I'll also share the deck with Panos, and we'll get this out to you as well. But your Winmo is a lead development company. So we talked about buying a book of lists. Winmo is depending on how big you are, it's a little bit expensive because they have sponsor access all over the country. They have hundreds of thousands of companies that, contacts, I should say, within companies. But we work with Winmo, and if your event organization is working with Help Get Sponsors, we can actually tap into our Winmo account and help you find sponsors and advertising directors in your market, in your area, so long as we're working together. And so, you know, we obviously can't resell that information, and we don't do that, but for our clients, that's a tool we tap into, and you're perfectly welcome to sign up for Winmo as well. Again, it's a national database of marketing, advertising, and sponsorship contacts, literally names, phone numbers, email addresses, LinkedIn's of the people you should be talking to. So one of our biggest questions is, you know, can you help us find leads? And yes, if you're working with us, we can, or you can go straight to the source and purchase a Winmo. I think it's around $5,000 or $6,000 a year. Whew, I know, right? But depending on how big you are and how many, you know, geographic areas you're tapping into, and I know we have a lot of different types of events here, that's a really good technology. And of course, helpgetsponsors.com, our company, we've been talking about that. Just wanted to remind you that we've taken our mid-level package that has all the tools, so you're not parsing anything out, everything you need. The only difference is you can create up to 5 events completely free. We're not bringing back this package for a charge. We're going to keep it as a freemium, at least until the event business is 100% back up. Right now, we're leaning towards keeping it free for good. So this is your opportunity to work with our sponsorship platform without having to pay for it. Even if you end up not using all of the features, you may want it just to price your sponsorships. You may want it just to, you know, keep your contacts all in one place. Whatever that may be, we took a hard look at the event industry, and we asked ourselves, and you can see that in the video that we shared, what can we do to help? And number one is, if people aren't selling sponsorships for ad-event industries, we shouldn't be charging for software. So that's why we made our program free. And then number two, we need to get out there and do more education like today. And so we're not only doing some free ones that are a little more high level, I would call this Sponsorship 101, but we're also doing some paid webinar series. So our first is launching in May, And for this one, we're doing a session once a week. So by the end of May, you or anyone on your team will be a sponsorship, sales, and management professional. I can promise you that. So these are 4 really highly valuable educational webinars we're doing in May. We priced it at $87, so a little less, around $22 each. But for RDHQ, we're providing you with an additional $20 off. So there's the code at checkout, RDHQ20. And it's going to be $67. So that's around $17 per webinar. I mean, to put that into perspective, at the end of these 4 webinars, with all of the information and all of the education that you receive, if you sell a sponsorship for 1/100th of a sponsorship, you're going to pay for itself. So, I mean, you know, we're trying our best to say, hey, let's flip our model, just like you guys are flipping your model, and saying, what can we do in this day and age to help the event space? And what we realized is providing our software for free, and then providing our education and resources for a really, really affordable price. So at the end of the day, you'll be able to sell and manage sponsorships at a much, much higher level. Or even if you tap into a few people who are looking to help you sell sponsorships and they join us for these webinars, at the end of the day, you're going to have a really well educated and trained salesperson on your team. So really appreciate that as well if you consider our continued education. With that, I'll just look back and see if there's any other questions. I haven't seen the time lately. Let's see, we're just past an hour, so I appreciate everybody staying with us. Looks like there's no questions. Any other ideas? You know, you guys got a great group online. Let's see, there's one here that says more and more municipalities are requiring business licenses to host race. Make sure you're in their directory too. So there you go. So it's a good tip from Catherine Jett. So thank you, Catherine, for that one. Tim Bamba is saying, hey, Tim, great to see you, by the way. You know, he's talking about thinking about Coachella. They see you as a partner. Tim, I'd love for you to chime in on RDHQ and just give a little bit more information about that. Everybody else was chiming in early to say we look good, so that's appreciated. And I got Testy, any examples? Let's see, do you have any UK specific tools from Stuart? So Stuart, we don't at this point. However, when it comes to sponsorship, sales, and management, the only tool that's not going to work dollar for pound is our pricing tool. So a simple way to overcome that is when you do get the pricing valuation, simply do the adjustment in UK, and we certainly will work with our development team to start to introduce new currencies to the table. So again, I got somebody in here who's registered as Testy Test. We love that. So if you're looking for examples of the different proposals that we talked about, you know, we'll share some of those with RDHQ. You can also reach out to us directly at info@helpgetsponsors.com, and we are more than happy to send you samples that we've done in the past. Let's see. Also suggest that events join your local chamber of commerce. So that again is from Beth. Thank you so much, Beth. Yeah, absolutely. So one thing, for those who want to get a little extra credit, local chambers of commerce is not only a great way to get those local companies in contacts, they're not really, the ones I've worked with don't just readily give those away. You know, obviously you can sponsor the Chamber of Commerce. You could give a Chamber of Commerce webinar about your event, like I'm doing right now about sponsorship. But another great feature that I've seen with chambers is to build a special Chamber of Commerce membership sponsorship level. Traditionally, the members of chambers are mainly smaller businesses, or the majority of them will be smaller businesses. So if you can offer that sort of like $500, $1,000 entry-level sponsorship with a very specific package that you give to the chamber, the chamber pushes that out to all their members, and you give the chamber a small percentage of however many chamber sponsorships. You know, these would be exclusive XYZ city Chamber of Commerce sponsorship. It's something you should consider doing. So again, it's really specific towards the chamber members, and you'll see a lot more traction that way. Okay, we got another question. Hello from Serbia, Europe. Very good presentation. We'll grab the webinars once they are live. Okay, yep, we'll definitely send that. Thank you so much. Would you like a UK agent? We'd love that. Stuart, we'll reach out to you and see what we can do in a partnership capacity. Are these webinar prices USD? Yes, they are. So $67 US dollar. It's directly through GoToWebinar. So once you get to that registration page, you just fill it out right there. GoToWebinar is a global company, so I'm guessing that you are able to pay for it in your currency for the webinar series. Again, everything we talked about today, it's going to be much more detail. There's going to be a lot of handouts. We're going to have some guest speakers as well. So I think the value here is going to be really, really good for you guys if you're serious about taking sponsorship to the next level for today's virtual event world, plus tomorrow's future. So, oh, perfect. Okay, so you're looking for a virtual expo goodie bag platform sample. So we'll do that. We'll get you a link to that on the RDHQ page. But really, if you go to event bags, which is eventbaxx.com or virtualevent.com or virtualeventbag.com. We'll share them all. They've got some good examples of virtual event bags, and it's basically taking that bag and changing it into more of an expo. So it's really the content that you're including and the way that you design it, and also the way you market it. So you want your, if you've ever worked with a virtual event bag, it's basically like getting all of your sponsor offers the day after the race or the day of the race or the day before, whenever you send it out. This would be more building that bag with sponsor participation and calling it an expo and telling people, marketing it as it being up and available for a 48-hour period. And so again, you know, it's kind of a workaround, but it's using technologies that we're all used to. And it's altering the way that you're marketing it to your runners, and also the way that they're receiving it and the way sponsors are participating. So it's a limited offer. It really feels like they're going through an expo and they've got a limited time to sort of grab stuff. There's clearance items. Maybe, you know, one company might offer a link to their clearance apparel and shoes and such. So I hope that helps a lot of this. So how long will each session be for the May webinars? I'm trying to rip through these because I know everybody's been on here for a while. They're only going to be about an hour, but again, like today's webinar, it will go longer. And it's strictly educational. They're not webinars designed to sell our software or anybody else's products. These are the types of webinars that when I go and speak at conferences and teach best practices, the attendees are coming and they're paying, you know, hundreds and thousands of dollars all told when they come and attend a conference. Of course, there's multiple speakers there. So you're getting the opportunity to see 4, you know, really deeply developed sponsorship educational webinars, each running about an hour. So we're shooting for 45 to 50 minutes. That's why we're spreading them out one a week. They will all be recorded. You'll receive the full recordings afterwards as well. So if you can't make one, no big deal. Or if you sign up after the first 2 sessions have gone on, that's fine too. We'll keep that RDHQ code throughout. So anytime that you guys sign up, you'll still get that $20 off. And that is our deepest discount on this. Again, one note on this, you know, we've done this in the past for $187 for 4. So again, we were discounting right off the top, you know, the $100. We're doing them for $87, and we're trying to drop that even lower because we know, going back to one of those original slides, sponsorship is the #1 challenge for events. So we're really encouraging events to take this time, you know, spend a couple bucks and prepare yourself for sponsorships for the future. Yes, that is a great point. Thank you for mentioning Event Bags is now Fanamia Events. I always have trouble saying that. Those are some great folks over there. Really appreciate them. So if you know the guys at Fanamia, be sure to say hello from Help Get Sponsors. Thank you. Got the Event Bags recommendation. That's the next question. So that's it. Looks like we've got all of our questions answered. I'm sure you'll come up with questions after the fact. You can put them on the you can send them to me directly through Facebook, info@helpgetsponsors. And of course, we want you to sign up for these webinars. It helps us stay in business, to be quite honest, since we're being honest these days. No, we're always honest, but since we're encouraging everyone to be honest, this is our methodology to have a small revenue stream while we're actively giving away our software for free. So we hope it's well received and well attended, and we look forward to it. And we thank everybody for taking the time today. Have a great weekend. Enjoy yourself. Stay healthy. Stay happy. Go for a run. These are really tough times, but we're going to get through it. All right, guys. Have a great one.